Hey guys, how are you? Welcome to my channel. I know I'm a little bit late to the show, but I've just had a couple of things that I wanted to get off my chest watching some of these, typical liberal videos which includes like feminism, veganism, and I don't know, racial issues and stuff. So I'm going to start with this one. It's a pretty simple and safe video. I mean, safe, well, relatively safe in terms of what is perpetuated through the video. It's pretty funny. So why not just get into it? So here's this guy who I forgot his name debating with a vegan activist.
Meat creates toxic masculinity, according to a university professor. Eating meat is bad for you, it's bad for the country, and it reinforces gender stereotypes, apparently. But it tastes so good. Joining me now, Dr. D'Alessio Parson. Okay, doctor. Why is eating meat bad, really?
Well, we have to back up because you, I think at the beginning just said eating meat creates toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
The toxic masculinity is already there.
It's already there. Does eating meat make toxic masculinity worse?
It's one of the ways in which it can reinforce existing kind of social structures, including patriarchy.
Well, how does that reinforce social structures where men dominate eating meat?
Yeah, it's really complicated.
We'll break it down for
How about this though? You said we had 4 or 5 minutes, right?
Just keep it simple. How does eating meat make the genders unequal?
Eating meat holds a lot of symbolism, and it really is too much to explain in 4 minutes.
Okay, so let's go over this. Has a lot of social symbolism because I mean she has a point. Everything we do, every word we utter, there's a lot of stuff behind it. So, for example, just the idea that we say male man and not a male woman or male person does have a social weight behind it. There's a reason why it's called a male man because traditionally it used to be men who did this, and like even now, I mean, still mostly men are doing the labor work. So she's got a point in there, but let's see where she wants to get to from this point.
But it has to do with the fact that our individual level decisions, the things we decide to do as individuals, what we consume, what we put on our bodies, the things we buy and put in our households, are fundamentally political acts.
Okay.
Right? The personal is political.
Okay. So I'm having a steak right now because I'm starving.
I hear you. I wish I could have half of that, but this doesn't look vegan, and I'm trying to be vegan.
You're a vegan?
It's really hard because I don't know if I told you I'm from Wisconsin.
Okay.
And cheese was like one of my favorite things.
See, that looks pretty good. It's a little rare, medium
Okay, so this is one of the other issues with veganism, which is okay, so it's veganism versus vegetarianism. There's a divide there, and there's a lot of discrepancy actually between, even though like in terms of practice they're not really that different in terms of lifestyle, but there is an issue about the morality of the two sides. So vegetarian is like killing animals is not okay, but you can still benefit from their products, which to me seems more reasonable. Then veganism says, no, you can't use any animal products because inherently there's animal cruelty behind it. And sure, like I get that there is animal cruelty behind a lot of these industries. And I get the sentiment. The sentiment behind veganism is, in a way, compassionate, you could say. But the problem arises in the principle, like the main principle that is actually shared between vegetarianism and veganism, that killing animals is wrong. All right, let's follow this thread. Killing animals is wrong. Well, number one, why? All right, not in terms of, and like there's a lot of the reasons that they use against a carnivore diet is that if you kill the animal yourself, and she's going to say that in a minute, but if you kill the animal yourself, that's fine. If you do it just for the food and like you are the one who gets your hand bloodied, that's fine. But then there's a question: why? Again, why is that fine, and why is paying somebody else to do it for you is not fine? Let's actually hear her say this, and I'm going to get back to the point.
Rare.
Yeah.
Is
Got
this
some nice dead animal, dead cow hanging on your fork.
is this bad that I'm eating meat?
If you go hunting, that's a totally
So here
different
it is.
story, right? The blood's on your hands. Right now, you're kind of just enjoying the benefit, and the blood's on someone else's hands, and that's not very fair.
Okay, so then he's gonna make a point about how, what if they want to kill the animal? And that's not really the point here. The point is, sure, it is kind of uncomfortable for me to watch an animal die if I'm the one killing it, whether it's for meat, whether it's for any of the other products that a dead animal would give me. And sure, that's uncomfortable for most people. But here's the bigger question: why is it wrong or like immoral or questionable if I pay somebody else to do it for me? Which this goes back to the question of, why is killing animals wrong in the first place? Why is it wrong in the first place? Well, some of the argument around that is that, well, you wouldn't ever kill a human to, I don't know, to get any benefits from it, which could be beneficial. Like maybe some guy has a lot of property, and then you kill them and like you steal his money away. I mean, it's hypothetical, but just bear with me. But you wouldn't do the same thing to a human. That's a lot of where this backlash against carnivore diets come from. You wouldn't do this to a human. I'm like, sure. But who says they should be equal? Humans and animals are not equal. Their rights aren't the same. You know? For the same exact reason why Westerners are very unlikely, like most parts of the world, are very unlikely to kill a dog for meat or like to use the fur or something. But like it's not such a taboo in, like, let's say China. The same thing really applies to any other animal. It's just a matter of which animals you're comfortable with killing. Like if you go to Saudi Arabia, people kill camel and they eat the meat, right? It doesn't really seem that savory to us, but they do it over there, and like there's nothing wrong with it. It's the exact same thing, it's just they do it with a different animal for whatever reason. So there is a little bit of a hypocrisy in the people who are against veganism too. Like they're always, I don't know, they get really mad when somebody even looks wrong at a dog, right? Like dogs are like pretty sacred in Western European culture and like Western culture in general. Why is that? Well, because it's been like that since the dawn of time. That's it. That's it, really. The life of a dog, which is preserved a lot in Western culture, has nothing more or less, has no more or less value than the life of a cow. Well, we choose to consume the meat of a cow. And we don't do the same thing with a dog. But really, there's no difference there. All right? The point is, the ultimate point here is, why is killing animals wrong? Why? Do we not have the right to do that? Well, okay, so that's your opinion, and that's fair enough. You believe we humans don't have the right to do that. I can't argue with that. However, you can't also argue with me when I say, you know what, I think it is our right to kill animals for food. Right? So it doesn't really, there's no real basis to veganism. The basis is just opinions. I believe that you shouldn't, I don't know, kill animals for food, or you shouldn't use their products for, I don't know, you shouldn't use their products in any way because it's animal cruelty. And yeah, I mean, you could say we can do better, but we should be trying to do better in terms of like our animal farms, not to ban the industry entirely. There's a lot of practices that should be changed, but that doesn't include not the killing the animals. No, the killing of the animals is still, I have no problem with that. And like a lot of people also say that maybe we should be consuming less meat. I'm like, again, why? So here's my main problem with veganism. It all goes back to opinions. And like, I have nothing against opinions, but it's just that you can never enforce it on anyone. Your opinion values just as much as the next guy. If you say we don't have the right, sure, fair enough, we don't have the right. But I think something else. I think we do have the right. So you can try to convince me, but in the end, you have no right over me. So I'm going to keep my, seemingly extremist opinion, I mean, relative to you, and you have no right over that. You cannot change that. So let's see what else she talks about.
What if they want to hunt meat, or what if they want to raise cattle?
Oh, totally. But the idea of killing and taking a life, that we should really deeply consider what that means for us as human beings. You know, people have said you should judge a society by how it treats their animals. And it'd be great if we had universal health care for our animals.
Okay, now this is the part where she just kind of goes crazy. Like, what? Universal health care for animals? Like, I want to say she made a joke, but she really doesn't seem like she's making a joke right now. Like, look at her. She seems dead serious. But obviously, like, I'm not going to get into how ridiculous of an idea that is. But the idea that... what did she say?
It's their animal. It's for us as humans.
That you should judge a society by the way they treat their animals? No. No. That's kind of baseless. So let's continue watching.
For animals, that could be expensive.
We can afford it. Look.
Really? Because we're $20 trillion in debt.
I got some money.
Do you care more about people or animals?
I care about our world, and I think in order for us to achieve a more sustainable future, particularly regarding what's happening with climate change, we need to figure out how the 7.6 billion of us on this planet can be good neighbors.
Okay, that was actually a very clever question by the host. Do you care? Okay, so in principle, I'm guessing the principle of veganism is that, I mean, we're all equal. Animals and humans are all equal. And you would expect them to say that I would care about both of them equally. But I would say that's not good at all. You shouldn't care about humans and animals equally, right? And I see this, okay, now going into reality of things, not in terms of principles. Usually the vegans that I've encountered, they actually seem to be caring more about animals, or like cats and dogs specifically, than humans. Like, I bet if a vegan had an option to donate to a charity for like homeless people, and there was another charity giving shelters to homeless dogs, 9 times out of 10 she would pick the charity for the dogs, right? And that's not good. That's not moral, in my opinion, right? And like, this is a common. So the reality is that it's virtue signaling, basically, and I've seen this like happen. So here's what happened. I was browsing Instagram, and one of the people at my university, she posted a story on about a cat who needed her vaccine, and she was basically collecting money for this cat's vaccine. And I was thinking, man, that is so bizarre that you would collect money for cat's vaccine, but you wouldn't. I've never seen this person, post any other type of charity. Which, I may have missed it, sure, but I believe like you should never care about animals when there are people who are suffering around you, right? So if you're gonna say like no, people can have their own things to care about, people can care about their own charities, and in that way everyone benefits. No, I disagree with that. I agree that the life of a human is much more valuable than the life of any animal, and that should be a priority for everyone. If you're going to donate, don't donate to an animal shelter. This is not an imperative sentence, right? I'm saying, if you, a hypothetical you, are going to donate to animal charity. Well, I guess now it sounds more like an imperative. But anyways, you know what I mean. This is just my opinion. That you should, if you want to pay to a human charity. Like, that seems like a no-brainer to me. That the life of a human, any human, is more valuable than the life of any animal. So that's the position I hold. Let's see what happens next.
And we're really bad at being good neighbors right now.
Okay, so like, why should I be a good neighbor to a squirrel?
Well, you don't have to worry about, if you don't want to worry too much about the squirrel right now. The squirrel's part of nature, right? If you keep killing nature.
She's really just grasping at straws at the moment. Like, I don't know how she wasn't prepared for such an easy question. But this just goes to show that the principles of veganism are very fragile, right? The basic principle, which is we shouldn't kill animals. Why? There's no basis for that. There is no basis for that other than opinions, which is fair on its own. Let's see.
Sure. What's going to happen to us, right? If we as people keep killing nature. Me too, right? Like, I still eat cheese a lot. It's not like something that's going to be perfect. We're never going to be perfect at it.
But what if you're just hungry and the animals are there for us to enjoy for dinner, for lunch,
God said so.
breakfast?
Did God tell you that?
Well, I mean, why would they taste so good if...
Actually, that is an excellent point. Did God tell you that? Yeah. See, I have to go back to the point about basis, right? As long as you are talking purely logically, right? Everyone's opinion is the same. I mean, in terms of value. Everyone's opinion has the same exact value, right? But then once you get into the realm of religion, there is a basis. Like, there is this basis, you cannot go against it because you are humans and your opinion doesn't matter when it comes to, like, relative to God's opinion, right? You cannot say anything against God's words. Like, you can agree or disagree with God's words, but if you are in the realm of religion, the thing about religion is that it's intellectually consistent when it comes to opinions. Well, not opinions, really. When it comes to rules. The reason that this rule exists, you can find the logic, you can try to find the logical reasons for it, but it all can go back to God said so. That's really powerful. You can agree or disagree with it, but it's a really consistent value system. It's a basis. It is a basis. I'm not saying it's the right or wrong basis, but it's a basis. And like you could be thinking that that's a pretty weak argument. Like, you can just make up some authority out of nothing and then say this is going to be the authority that all of my opinions are going to be based on to. Or rather based off of. So yes, you can absolutely do that. And like, I would say even that has more base than just a purely logical argument about why killing animals is wrong, right? This is a base. It's a weak base. Like, you could say it's a made-up base, and you can argue with the base, like, where it comes from. Same way you can argue with religion and like whether it's valid or not in the beginning. But once you sort of take a step back and see that there's religion and then there's logic, even though I don't really think they go opposite to each other. But once you see this, I think it becomes much easier to argue. If a person is coming from a religious background, he has no business talking about, like, I don't know, why animals' rights dictate that you should not kill animals. Like, no, dude, that you're being intellectually inconsistent. You're being a hypocrite. Right? So it's very important to know the basis of everything. And to me, religion is a much stronger basis, although it needs to be proven at first. Like, the religion, is valid. But at the very least, it provides a basis to fall back on. I've said basis too many times, and I'm kind of starting to hate the word. So let's finish this quickly.
We weren't supposed to eat them.
Sugar tastes good.
Yeah, I eat sugar too.
Obesity, diabetes.
Well, I mean, I have some sugar, but
I mean, you clearly have a lot.
I don't just pour sugar down my throat.
You clearly have some things around like who you are that protect you, and like especially a lot of, I think, financial resources to like do things like buy really expensive steaks.
okay.
So that's also part of the problem, is that some people are really taking up more than their fair share of,
So
plate
the rich people are stealing all the steak from the poor people.
surplus value.
Okay, well, you know what?
I got a book for you.
I'm going to go take this
Wait,
steak
can
and
I
I'm
get
going
the
to go give it to a homeless guy out on 6th Avenue.
Go for it. And you were saying you needed books
Doctor,
for Christmas.
thank you very much. I will take your book.
Okay. I don't really need to comment on the last part. Like it kind of derailed into class. What the hell? So anyways, forget about the last part. And that's basically gonna wrap it up for this video. Just some thoughts I had on veganism and why I disagree with the premise. Also, another thing, the attention seeking. You can't really deny that there's a lot of attention seekers in the vegan community, all right? And that does kind of turn me off on it even more. But I'm not gonna get into that now. That's gonna be it for this video. Thank you all for watching and hope to see you in the next one. Peace.